branding, sort of responsible for this. As you can see, there aren't very many of you. So clearly I'm going to be fired tomorrow morning. I'm really excited about this. I want to thank Rachel, who's around here somewhere, and Red Sky for having us. I hope you guys are having a good time so far. I know we're all really excited about what Pete has to say. But right now I'm going to introduce our CEO, Mr. Dan Schaubel.
Thanks, Tim. I'm happy everyone's here. This is a huge showing. This event was sold out within a week. And Peter, who's over there, is going to be introduced soon. We're really happy to have him. And this event is actually sponsored by .me, which is a domain name extension. You can go to GoDaddy.com or one of those sites and register your full name, .me. So for me, it would be DanSchaubel.me. For Kenny over there, it'd be KennyPickard.me.
Already got it.
And it's a good way to personalize your own domain name. So we thank them for being our platinum sponsor for this event and the future events as well. So just to backtrack, we've had a lot of events this past year and last year. We've had Brian Raffinelli speak. He did Chelsea Clinton's wedding and Obama's inauguration party. We've also had Kenny Florian speak, and he's a UFC fighter. He was amazing. He was our last speaker. And we have a lot of great events to come, so we hope that you'll come to the next event, to future events, and I'm really happy to be here. I hope you have a good time. I hope you learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot about social media, about the Celtics, and everything in between. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam. So just really quickly, I want to just introduce Pete. He's the Director of Interactive Marketing for the Boston Celtics. He's had a huge role in the way that not just the Celtics, but you see sports teams are getting involved. I think it's the wave of the future. I think that's why we're all here. We all get it. We all understand it. He's done a lot of really cool stuff, as you know, like Game Time Live and the Celtics three-point play, which is just allowing fans to get involved and just be more accessible. He's got a lot to say, so let's not waste any time. Pete Stringer from the Celtics.
How's everybody doing tonight? Come on, louder than that. All right, there we go. All right. Always wanted to do that. Bear with me. I'm not used to public speaking in the terms of this kind of a room and this kind of setup with this big pole in the middle. People are getting drunk, hopefully, and we'll try to make this as interactive as possible. For somebody who does interactive media, I'm kind of blown away because I tend to, you hear all this stuff about, you got to engage people, and people are, spending too much time on their Blackberries and digital, and they're not doing things in person anymore. So to see this many people show up for an event like this in person and want to get to know each other and meet everybody and talk about these things is pretty wild. So, so the people out there who think this stuff is all just nonsense and noise and I'd have to respectfully disagree. So great. Again, thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it. And I'd like to just dive right in here and just talk about kind of what we've tried to do over the last couple of years. I'll give you just a quick bit about my background and kind of how I ended up with the Boston Celtics. I went to school here at Boston University for journalism degree. Grew up a Celtics fan since I was this tall. Sat on my dad's lap, watched Larry Bird and Danny Ainge and all those guys growing up, and just fell in love with the Celtics really the first time I ever watched them, and had the hoop in the driveway, the whole thing. And so went to college, went to BU looking to basically be the next Bob Ryan, cover the Celtics, that whole type of thing. Right in the Boston Globe. That was kind of the goal as I went to school. And, a little something funny happened along the way. And, freshman year, people are starting to talk about email and what's this email thing? I had AOL back in the day and IMs and all that kind of stuff. And, I had worked in the high school paper and learned how to use a Mac and all that kind of stuff, and was kind of interested in it. My sophomore year, I started hearing about HTML. What is this HTML thing? And so really, my first internship at a PR firm, kind of learned basic web publishing, sat next to a kid who had already learned it, learned a lot of that stuff, and that turned into opening the door to my first internship, which was at New England Sports Network, or NESN, if you guys are not familiar with it. They run the Bruins games, Red Sox games on TV, and they were looking to launch a website, which at the time was kind of a crazy thought that a sports TV station would have a website, but they were looking to launch NESN.com. And I think they did. That was probably 1996, and so that first job was really just just basic HTML publishing. Let's build a website. And to me, I got in there and going to school for journalism. well, why aren't we covering the games? And so I started actually convincing them to get me a press pass. Jeff Twist, a longtime PR guy, one of the just greatest guys in the sports business, convinced him to let me come in and start covering the games. At that point, Rick Pitino had taken over the team and was supposed to bring it back to glory, and I think you guys all kind of know how that went. And as far as I know, he's not walking in the door, but we'll see what happens. But so in any event, that turned into kind of really covering sports and really getting my teeth wet, just sharpening my teeth on the concept of doing locker room coverage and writing about the team and then publishing on the NESN site. And from that standpoint, that was really my entree into sports writing, and I kind of realized, I'm already covering the pros. Why the heck do I want to go work in Wheeling, West Virginia and pursue the journalism career that so many of my colleagues were doing? And I go to class, and I'm writing a story about Kenny Anderson, the new point guard for the Celtics, and they're writing a story about their grandmother. And, and no knock on their grandmother, but it really gave me a leg up in school, and I kind of really realized that, I don't think I want to go down that traditional journalism path, and at the same time was learning all this technology about how to do web publishing and kind of, just to be able to just put yourself out there and publish your own work. I felt like I just kind of jumped ahead of everything and didn't have to do that traditional path. And so that really got me excited about web publishing, and that really was my start. From that standpoint, I was at NESN in one capacity or the other from basically 96 to about 02, 03 as a part-timer, and even when I was doing full-time web consulting and web development in the financial sector, and then just independently for a while. But it always kind of kept in touch with the PR guy at the Celtics, and it was posting, hey, you got any openings, anything you need, any content for your magazine, your website, or anything. Never really had anything come up until at one point the job at the Celtics came up in 2005. And at that point it was kind of a weird chapter in the Celtics history. Paul Pierce had kind of had this meltdown in Indianapolis during a playoff game, and it was really unclear whether they were going to continue to go forward with him or really rebuild. And at that point, the team was kind of a 40 win team, not in good shape. And when I interviewed there, I was like, well, what's the story with Paul Pierce? I mean, are you guys building around this guy? Is he going to be there? What's the future of this team going to be? And they couldn't really answer any of those questions at the time. But really, the job was to run their website, Celtics.com. And I looked at the site, and heading into my first interview, I was like, geez, this site is just not what I'd expect to see and what would engage me. In fact, I had never been to the site, despite being a long time Celtics fan. Had grown up watching the team, was into web publishing, and really had not spent any time on this website. And to me, that was a huge problem. It felt like I was right in the target demographic of the type of person who went to 6, 7, 8, 9 games a year, but was not spending any time on their website. And there was really no original content there. And so to me, I decided I just needed to come in with a plan and show them, I want to revamp this website coming in. And so, not necessarily the greatest interview strategy to go in and say, hey, by the way, your website sucks and I want to do something completely different with it. And so it was certainly a roll of the dice, but for me, I didn't really think I had anything to lose. I was comfortable with the job I had, was not in a job hunt mode. So I figured, let's just put it out there and see what happens. So went in, interviewed, and after a couple months of silence, got a call like, hey, we'd like to bring you back in and talk to you a little bit more. And that turned into the job there. And at the same time, the team was still just not in good shape. It was a tough team to sell and market. Didn't have a lot of name recognition. If we, in fact, had done this event 6 years ago, I'd be talking to about 10 people. I'm pretty convinced. So to bring it back, certainly it was a very young team that we were trying to sell with guys like Al Jefferson, Delonte West, who's actually now back with us, and guys that weren't household names, and we're trying to get those guys out there. And again, so my whole point was, we need to be generating regular content about this team, getting people engaged, let them know who these guys are. And really that was the strategy. And so we spent a lot of time actually functioning as a reporter, kind of going back to my journalism days and following the team to practice and games, and just staying late for post-game and writing articles about big games. If Jefferson grabbed 20 rebounds some night, staying late, interview him after the game, the whole thing. And so really it came into a part where I was just generating regular content of the team, and did that for a couple of years, and it really started to take off for us. Not gonna lie, have you guys, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, ever heard of these guys?